Okay, so this is a 3D grading video. What we're looking at here is my plan superimposed over the previously done civil engineering plan, which had elevation lines on it. So you're looking at two plans here, but you can see the one in the background. At any rate, each one of these red lines here is an elevation line, and starting from this one right here, we're at 490 feet, and so 490 feet follows this line more or less, this one. The next one is 10 feet down at 480 feet above sea level. The next one is 470. The next one is 460. So what you have is a high point over in this area and the low point in this area, which is about 25 feet lower. And that's all in the distance of about 100 feet. So if we look at it in a 3D contour, if you were like cutting the section of the ground, you would see street level up here where the other house is, and then it drops. You can see the high point here and the low point here. A little person for relevance. So the driveway comes in sort of more or less flattish at the top, and then it dives down pretty significantly in this area towards the tree. Obviously we have all those weird kind of walls and stuff that have been added on there, so this is what it would look like it was kind of smoothed out. But if you look at the fence to the neighbor, from where the driveway enters right here, it climbs up and goes across to where the other neighbor is. Does that make sense? Okay, now we're going to add some shapes to it. Okay, so if we took the shape that I showed you, the plan that I showed you that was 100 feet long by 18 feet wide, with the roof line that I showed you, about 12 feet here and 8 feet in the back, and a 10-foot wide deck, and stuck it on the property, this is what it would look like in this location. So as you can see, it's almost completely buried on the high end, right? And then it's above the ground down here. Somehow we have to bring a car in and provide code required turnaround space flat in front of the garage to get in. So my intuition tells me that we're going to kind of want to be 5 to 10 feet below this upper level for the location of where the garage is, without creating some massive retaining walls to build up this site for a driveway. So essentially you could, I suppose you could take this whole building here, let's see if I can do it, raise it up. Of course you'd have to follow the setbacks and stuff like that, but you could raise it up to the level of the far side, right? And then you can see how high above, it's probably 15 feet in this corner over here above the ground. And what we would have to do to accomplish a working plan for this is we'd have to create some kind of a retaining wall in this whole corner here that would raise it up. So that would be a very challenging thing to do because you can't change the neighbor's grade, right? So what exists over here exists. So you'd have to build a wall down here, which would be complicated from a building point of view and a neighbor point of view, and a whole bunch of reasons. Then you would also have to create a retaining wall that would be underneath the house the whole length of it, to create a flat pad in this type of location. Does that make sense? Okay, so now let's look at another shape. Okay, so this shape here is sort of shape number 2 that we discussed. So the back of the building is 10 feet high, and I'm not sure what the front is, probably 12. I made the slope lower. Still got the 10-foot deck, and it's 30 feet wide. So it is 12 feet wider than the other building. And you can see what that does. So that's the same elevation as the first one, but it's a little... Put it closer to where the other one was. Up on the top there. So you can see what that means is we have a much higher wall than what we just talked about in terms of, and this is at the lower elevation, not the higher elevation that we just discussed, but you can see how it comes out of the ground further, but also cantilevers way out over the lot. So if I can get behind the tree there, you can see this is probably 20 feet above the grade where it pops out. So if we were able to take this one and raise it up, so that's still sort of stuck into the ground here, but this is a shorter building, so it's I forget exactly what I made it, 30, but it's shorter by a lot. Totally different idea, but just for some comparison, you can see if we were trying to create a flat grade from the driveway, then we would have to fill in this entire area to create a level area for that garage, and then it would cantilever way out, much further out than the other one because it's wider. So essentially, to accomplish something like that, you would be digging out your entire upper site here and then creating a massive retaining wall on the low side to build this up. That triggers all kinds of bells and whistles in terms of construction and civil engineering and concrete and structure just before, totally before we even start the house. So those are two kind of visuals on grading. Hope that makes some sense to you.